Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Peck, founder and president of Green Roofs for Healthy Cities. Thank you very much for joining us for this 30-minute webinar. I know you're all busy, so we really do appreciate your attention. We have a big opportunity before us right now. We've been working away advocating for Bill HR 1863, which is the bill to put green roofs on public schools across America. And, you know, we're kind of starting to come down to the wire. We're asking for a little bit of your support in order to get us hopefully over the finish line. Today with me, I've got Daniel Martin from Permalock. He's the vice chair of Green Roofs for Healthy Cities. He's also the chair of the advocacy committee. I have Dayna Lurie from Hilltop Public Solutions and Mona Das from Web Power. And there are consultants here to answer any of your questions about the program that we're working to implement over the next couple of months, hopefully to get this thing done, because it would be so good for our children and it would be great also for the green roof industry as well. So today, in the next 30 minutes, we're going to do a quick introduction to the bill. Then I'm going to hand it over to Daniel Martin to talk about what we've been doing. We've got a short video in there. And then we're going to hand it over to Mona and Dayna to talk to us about the plans that we hope to implement with your support to get this bill across the finish line, take some of your questions, and then a wrap up. So before I get into the HR 1863, I just want to mention that many of you may be unaware, but we had a policy victory last month in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We're working with Mothers Out Front, an advocacy group. We got a mandatory green roof requirement passed through council there that will require green roofs and or biosolar roofs on buildings over 25,000 square feet, working with Mothers Out Front. So another city makes green roofs mandatory. Great news for the industry. And now Nadia Velasquez and her team reached out to us in 2020 about this bill, HR 1863. Our technical committee read it over. We made a number of changes and recommendations to the bill to strengthen it. We also honored Nadia Velasquez, who's the congresswoman from Brooklyn, with an award of excellence for her work on this. The bill essentially commits the Department of Energy to spending $500 million over the next 4 years on the planning, installation, and maintenance of green roofs. The money is divided about $100 million for planning, $300 for install, $100 million for maintenance, so 4-year maintenance minimum requirement. On K-12 schools in underserved neighborhoods across the United States. The strategy is to come in low, like $500 million in the context of infrastructure is a low amount of money to try to get more acceptance of the bill, because green roofs in terms of being infrastructure is still a new concept for many congressional representatives. The bill also includes support for green roof professionals to be parts of the team, also the Living Architecture Performance Tool, our rating system of best practices for green roofs. So we're very excited about it. It has huge potential to have green roofs acknowledged as a form of infrastructure among policymakers, not only federally, but also it will spill out to state governments as well. So this could really be the beginning of a real explosion in green roof support throughout the United States. I'd like to turn it over now to Blaine Stand of Green Roofs for Healthy Cities, who's going to show you, we're going to show you a short video from Nadia Velasquez talking about the bill. Over to you, Blaine.
Hi, I am Congresswoman Nadia Velasquez, and I'm proud to represent New York's 7th Congressional District, which includes parts of Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens. We are living in a monumental period, a time where there is a global call to action to address 3 converging crises: the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting economic crisis, the climate emergency, and extreme inequality. Green infrastructure policy plays an important role in tackling this crisis. As we work towards reopening our communities, recovery plans must include green infrastructure investments. That is exactly why I have introduced a bill called the Public School Green Roof Program. Under this program, the government will provide money for the installation and maintenance of green roof systems. Green roofs are a sustainable method of improving a building's carbon footprint, protecting our biodiversity, and contain tremendous opportunities for teaching the next generation about sustainable living. Children in urban areas like New York City will have the chance to see these practices firsthand, an opportunity they are not often afforded. Plus, the bill incentivizes hiring the local workforce and prioritizes low-income communities. So, thank you to all the advocacy groups and activists who are rallying support on the ground for this legislation. I can assure you, I will continue to champion this issue in Congress. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. So that's a quick video. We have another video on our advocacy page, greenroofs.org/advocacy. We have a couple of videos from teachers that are actually using green roofs and talking about the benefits if you want to see more about the potential impact of this legislation. I'd like to turn it over now to Daniel Martin to talk a little bit about what we've been up to support HR 1863. Daniel?
All right, thank you very much, Stephen. So we've been busy. This opportunity came up and it seemed like something that Greenwich Healthy City should definitely get behind and do our best to support and get passed. So one of the first things we did off the bat, we needed to set up an advocacy committee. That's not something that we had before. So it's do the committee together with some members of our board of directors, and then also some people who are connected and very interested in public advocacy efforts that are also helping us out. And the Green Infrastructure Foundation immediately began conducting an analysis of the costs and benefits of HR 1863. You can see that analysis on the advocacy page on the website that Stephen just mentioned at greenroofs.org/advocacy. And we're going to cover a little bit of that here in the next few slides. We've been working extensively with Representative Velasquez's office and her chief of staff, set up a letter writing campaign. We did all the advocacy website stuff, really looking to secure support. And they've been keeping us updated on where they are and the things that are going on in Capitol Hill with them to get support for the bill so that we can kind of coordinate efforts. A lot of social media outreach, if you're following GRHC on social media, which if you're not, you should be. But we've been doing a lot of outreach on our site, along with other partners who are backing the bill and helping to support. We've put out articles in the Living Our Picture Monitor about school green roofs, and all of this led us to realize there is only so much that we can do and only so much we know. So we identified that we needed to bring in lobbyists to help us with this, which is why we're here today and who we have with us. If we look at the next slide, we can talk about the analysis a little bit. We used the Green Infrastructure Cost Benefit Matrix, which is proprietary to GRHC. And based on several steps of data aggregation simplification, we came up with what these cost benefits are. Really reflects the large scale implementation. But here are some of the results that we came up with in that. 14 million square feet of green roofs. That's a lot of green roofs. You know, Stephen mentioned 500 million, a small number, and it is in the large scheme of things, but 500 million divided up between GRHC members is a great pie. And we really believe that this is just going to be the first domino to fall, and we're going to see much more legislation like this to follow. In addition to as part of those 14 million square feet of green roofs, 154 million gallons of stormwater will be retained each year. We will sequester each year 537 tons of carbon and reduce energy consumption by 10.7 million kilowatts. In addition, financially, there will be $378 million in benefits to school districts over 50 years. And that's through reduced building energy, increased lifespan of the roof, and producing food on the rooftop, which could be used in the school. And then it's $264 million in community benefits. So the stormwater management, the heat island reduction, better air quality, greenhouse gas sequestration. So it's going to benefit the students in the school. It's also going to benefit the local community. And in addition to the environmental benefits. We always look at triple bottom line. We're going to be also generating jobs, which is fantastic. Everybody wants jobs generated. You want jobs in your businesses. This is going to bring them in. 5,570 direct job years created in construction and maintenance. Over 23,000 indirect job years created as a result. That's through the supply chain, which is 29,000 total direct and indirect job years created over a 50-year period, which is fantastic. All right, looking at the next slide. So we believe, as everyone in this industry should, all of you on this webinar should believe also, that this is an exceptional infrastructure investment. Green roofs are tangible and measurable benefits to the school district and the communities. And intangible benefits include educational opportunities. I don't know if any of you had the chance to attend the Greater Green Conference, where we had a representative from a school in Toronto speaking about some of the stuff they're doing. The benefits to students and the community were amazing, and I think we can see this represented if you visit the advocacy page on the website and listen to some of the teachers, the videos. You'll see the clear benefits to the students and the educational aspects of things. But environmental justice, as Representative Velasquez just said in her video, that they're going to target low-income communities with these schools, which is really going to help with environmental equity, environmental justice. And we're really going to start developing the next generation green workforce. They're going to grow up with these green roofs. It's going to be something that just is a thing, not something that they have to learn to accept or deal with as an adult. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our industry. All right, and let's talk a little more about the letter writing campaign. I mentioned that briefly a little while ago. If you have not taken part in this yourself, please do it as soon as you can. greenroofs.org/advocacy. It is so simple. We're working with Muster. They are one of 3 organizations that are able to do these direct writing campaigns to Congress. So all you have to do is go in and put in your address. It'll say, hey, here's your representative. It'll pop up a letter. If you're happy with the letter, you just want to get it done, hit send, it's gone, you're done. If you want to go in and edit the letter, personalize it, say something specific about your district, about your congressperson, you can edit it at your will and send it in. But it's very important. The more letters we get in, we're hearing that congressional offices, they count these letters like, oh, this is something we seem to be getting a lot on. Let's pay attention. Let's get behind it. Let's do something. So let's get those letters in. If you haven't done it, do it yourself. Have your wife do it. Have your kids do it. Send it to everybody in your company. Have them do it.
Even your
Let's
dog.
bombard. Yeah, have your dog do it.
To do it too.
Yeah, I think dogs can do it twice. So go ahead and have them do it twice. But let's just bombard Capitol Hill with letters of support for this bill, and get it done. So far, we've sent over 250 letters. There are many more we can send. And one thing that we mentioned in that letter is we want each congressperson to sign on to be a co-sponsor and support this bill. And we're looking to get at least 50 congressional representatives to co-sponsor. So with that, we're coming into the next phase of this advocacy campaign, and that is lobbying. So getting some boots on the ground, getting some people with better connections and better understanding of the workings of the halls of Congress to help us out and lend some support. And of course, that does take funds, and that's why we are here partially to inform you what's going on, but we're also hoping that you will join in to support this effort, understanding how important it is to your business and to this industry as a whole. But I'd like to introduce our 2 guests today. We have Mona Das and Dayna Lurie with us. They are wonderful. We've had a chance to talk to them a few times, and really excited about their ideas, and they are fully supportive of this bill. They're not just hired guns, but they believe in it, they support it, and they really want to help us get it done. So Mona is a state senator in Washington State, and she is also a consultant with Wind Power Strategies. She loves green roofs. She's doing a lot of green roof and green infrastructure things in the state Senate in Washington. So this very much matches up with her beliefs and her policy efforts. And then Dayna is a consultant with Hilltop Public Solutions. They're a nationwide firm that specializes in campaigns, messaging, and coalition building around advocacy. Hilltop has working relationships with elected officials on both sides of the aisle and all the way across the country. So we've got a couple wonderful people who are willing to help us out, excited to get started helping us out. And with that, I am going to go ahead and turn it first over to Dayna, and she can kind of give you a little more information about her background and herself. Dayna?
Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and do a quick PowerPoint with Mona. All right. Great. So again, hi, my name is Dayna Lurie and I'm with Hilltop Public Solutions. We are a nationwide firm. We are based in DC. I currently work in our Seattle office, but we have 13 offices nationwide, which really gives us, you know, if we're having issues in a certain state, we either have an office there or we have friends there. So we're always happy to call and sort of, you know, kind of get a temperature gauge on their elected officials there and see if there's any relationships we have that can move things forward. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised here in Seattle, and I have been doing political work for the past 13 years. I started off doing political campaign finance and managerial work. I then switched over and worked for Senator Maria Cantwell in her official office, doing press conferences, roundtables, field hearings, and town halls. One thing I learned that was so important when it comes to legislation and moving things forward are telling real stories that are impacting real people. And you know that approach just works so much better than just giving people a bunch of data and information. Really being able to tell human stories and show the way legislation impacts day-to-day life is just, it's incredibly powerful. And that's something that Hilltop really specializes in. So I'm thrilled to be here. And you know, being on both my campaign side and policy side really give me a unique perspective when it comes to approaching elected officials, when it comes to legislation and getting them excited about signing on to things and really helping boost legislation. I'm now going to pass it over to Senator Mona Das.
Hello, everybody. It is just wonderful to be here with all of you. As everyone has mentioned, I am a huge champion for the environment. I have my MBA in sustainable business. So words like triple bottom line, and actually we started using quadruple bottom line, and that fourth P is purpose. And my purpose are two things. I focus very heavily on the environment and very heavily on diversity, equity, inclusion. And this is just such an equity issue, making sure our environment is clean and safe for communities of color. Green roofs are just the natural, you know, it just makes so much sense. I'm in California right now. I was in Arizona a few weeks ago, and many of the parking lots here are covered in solar panels, but they have flat roofs. And so if we can get green roofs on there, we can all not only be good for the environment, but if we do edible green roofs, we can teach the kids about growing. They can do, you know, they can learn math, they can learn history, they can learn nutrition. They can learn so many things by having a green roof. And then the added benefit is if kids watch these things grow, they will also eat vegetables. So it's really exciting. I am very passionate about green roofs, have been for years. I'll be introducing some green roof legislation this year on my official side. I am here today on my personal side. I am a senator, but I will not be working with y'all in my Senate capacity, just on my personal side. And I have relationships with all of my congressional members in Washington. And Dayna will go through our plan. But I just wanted you all to know that I am thrilled to be working on such a project that is so monumental for change in our communities across the nation. I believe in my heart of hearts, if we have green roofs on every flat surface building, we would mitigate climate change pretty much instantly. And I'm very excited to teach that to many, many legislators like my colleagues who might just need a little bit of what I call motivation to understand how important and how life-changing just adding a green roof to any flat roof building is. So thank you for the time, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you so much, Senator. So moving forward, just wanted to just go over, there are three main goals. One is to get the bill to the Energy and Commerce Committee. I understand that's already in motion, which is fantastic. Looking forward to helping get that over the finish line in any way we can. We also want to make sure that there are 50 co-signers onto this legislation. And that is something that Mona and I will be helping with, scheduling those meetings, identifying who makes sense, and working with the Congresswoman's office to see, who's almost there, who needs a little push, and, making sure, Mona and I agree that every single legislator in Washington state should be on this bill. So we will be working on that especially, but this should be a nationwide thing, and this is not a rural or urban issue. This bill makes a lot of sense for pretty much every district in the country. But really identifying the 50 that we want to make sure are signed on and are passionate about this project. But we also want to make sure that the bill gets into the American Jobs Plan, which is, they're doing negotiations now. It may be done before August recess, fingers crossed. So that means that we don't have a lot of time to spare. We kind of got to get up and going and start having these conversations as soon as possible. So our strategy that we came up with, so there's going to be three main parts of this campaign. So the congressional meetings, doing those one-on-ones, having those conversations with congressional members and their staff. I really want to stress that sometimes congressional leaders are very busy, and having meetings with their staff is absolutely fine. It is a perfectly good meeting, and a lot of times they can really help push things over the finish line on behalf of their Congress member. Just want to put that out there early on. So, like I said, we will be working with the Congresswoman to figure out, who she's already talked to, who's almost there, who needs a little push, but also working with the coalition that you have already put together, making sure that their members are being heard from, because a lot of times, congressional leaders want to make sure they're hearing from their constituents and understanding how legislation will directly impact their district. And showing them, this is how your constituents and their families are going to benefit. Those kind of stories really, really go a long way. Coalition letters are also going to be very important. I know you already have a really robust letter writing campaign happening, making sure we have a letter with all of our coalition members so they really see the impact of, all the industries that this legislation is going to benefit. And those are important not only as like leave behinds for the congressional meetings we're having, but if for whatever reason we can't get a meeting, these are still really powerful letters, especially ones on like very fancy letterhead with very fancy logos. They're just a little more professional looking, and that's definitely something that we can help organize and sort of herd cats on, making sure everybody is signed on. A really big component of any campaign these days, especially as we are on our way out of the pandemic, is earned media. And that can be everything from a news story about, if there's any way to get local media to talk about this bill and how it would directly impact the community, but also having op-eds and letters to the editors sent to local newspapers and publications so that constituents are reading about this really incredible bill and what it would mean. And majority of congressional leaders make sure they read their local newspaper every single day. They want to understand what's happening in their communities, especially when they're far from home. I know here in Washington state, when our leaders are in DC, they make sure to stay abreast of even the smallest newspapers in the state, just to make sure they're not missing anything. And they really want to know what their constituents are talking about and what they're interested in. So, if there is a congressional leader that is almost there, but we're not quite sure, getting a letter to the editor or an op-ed in their local paper can really, really go a long way. And it's also an opportunity to continue to tell the stories about how this legislation will be so impactful and helpful. All right, Mona, go ahead. I'll pass it on over to you to talk about strategy as well.
Yeah, thank you, Dayna. One of the things that we really are excited about, as Dayna mentioned, reaching out to our Washington congressional leaders. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal is the chair of the Progressive Caucus. She is not only my mentor, but my friend, and getting her buy-in will help us get buy-in with the rest of the Progressive Caucus. Congresswoman Susan DelBene is the chair of, I think it's called New Democrats. Is that right, Dayna?
Yes.
Which is more of the moderate Democrats. but also very powerful. And, very much many of my congressional delegation are part of those. So starting off with having conversations with those two women, very powerful women in Washington, can help us get other congressional members to sign on. And as Dayna and Stephen and Daniel and I have all agreed, getting 50 co-signers on this bill right now, I believe there's 13, is the biggest help that we will give to Congresswoman Vasquez, because that shows power. And really we're excited about the earned media opportunities and getting this in front of legislators who we know will sign on. There's many legislators in Oregon who will love to sign on to a bill like this. So, and obviously in other states too that are very progressive. And as Dayna mentioned, green roofs just makes sense for every congressional district. It's jobs, it's cleaning up our environment, it's promoting our environment. So we're really excited to work together with Stephen and Daniel and many members on this coalition call. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mona and Dayna. Just want to leave a couple minutes for questions. If anybody has a question, they can just type it into the Q&A box at the bottom there, and we'll be happy to relay it to Mona and Dayna. Are there any questions from anyone out there about the game plan? It's not going to be a long haul, I think. As you said, it's going to be a couple of months probably at most, and then we're either going to succeed or not, right? So there'll be a lot of work right now, like in the next 3 or 4 weeks, I would imagine. Is that the case? Like, was this sort of front end loaded? So
Yeah.
someone's asked, what is the likelihood that the bill is going to pass? That's the $1 million question.
I really wish that we were, fortune tellers and had a crystal ball. I think this is a really good feel-good project that, even the most pessimistic member of Congress could see benefits to in their district. I think it's very high that this is something that could be a reality. We just really have to make sure that we're hitting all the right people, having all the right conversations, and, putting in the work.
One thing I'll say is, most people don't know anything about green roofs. The general public is still very unaware. And one of the main things I learned in grad school was that literally this could mitigate climate change. And so climate change, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, I don't know if you all saw, we hit 106 degrees in Seattle. It's never happened before. It's the first time ever. And so climate change is on the minds of many, and this is a way to mitigate. And it's easy, right? It's easy to just put some plants on a roof and, make them edible. And, it's just education. And I believe Dayna and we've worked together for many years, and we know how to get this done. We're really excited to talk with our congressional delegations in, a lot of states. There's definitely states that will, I think, pick this up. We know who the environmental champions are in the House, and so we will just reach out to them first. This is really a no-brainer, and a really good one-pager will help us get in a lot of the earned media that we talked about. So I think there's a really good chance. And if anything, it's a great spot to start doing the education. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a green roofs bill in my state next session, which is in January. And then I will talk to many of my colleagues around the country about doing that. And a lot of times it's a drumbeat. States pass something and then becomes a federal law after a lot of states pass it. Mm-hmm. So I will give you a great example about the LGBTQ gay marriage. A lot of states passed that. Then once the momentum was there, it was passed federally. So that's one recent example.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. Are you ladies okay if we share your contact information with the people on the call? Okay, because some people are wanting to volunteer. There's also a question about whether or not you guys have actually been on green roofs yet or not. Have you seen them firsthand?
Yeah, I have. Luckily, Seattle, this is something that that many private buildings have been doing for many, many years. And one part of the pandemic I missed being at my office right across the street was this beautiful, is on the 15th floor of a building. They have an incredible park on a building downtown. And it's, I mean, green roofs, they make everything better.
They do. They do.
I have been on many green roofs in my life.
That's fantastic. So you guys have firsthand knowledge, which is very helpful. So and being conscious of people's time, I think we're going to wrap it right there. If anybody has any other questions, just email myself or Daniel Martin, and we'll be more than happy to forward them to Dayna and Mona. Thank you, ladies, for your time. We need support, ladies and gentlemen, to make this happen. Here's some things that you can do. You can go to the GoFundMe page that we have the link to on the top of the screen there. And spread the word about that GoFundMe campaign. We're trying to raise some funds from individuals through the GoFundMe campaign in support of this effort. greenroofs.org/advocacy has the bill, the analysis, videos, photos, lots of information available, and a place where you can go and send a letter to your congressional representative. Your congressional representative should contact Monica Gary at mail.house if they want to co-sign onto this bill. We're shooting for 50 co-signers by the end of July. I think we're going to be able to do it. And cold hard cash, folks. We need cold hard cash to pay these lovely ladies for their great efforts. And in order to do that, we're asking for a $2,000 contribution from our corporate members, who obviously have a stake in seeing this happen, bottom line stake, financial stake. So if you're able to provide support, please contact myself at spec@greenroofs.org or Daniel Martin. And we've already got about 12 companies on board. We need more to be able to fund this effort, and we really appreciate your support. Daniel, is there anything else you want to leave us with before we go?
No, we appreciate your support. Pay attention to the social media stuff, share it across your social media networks. There might be people out there willing to give to that GoFundMe that you would have never thought of, that it's in your social network. So, just share everything. We're looking for help anywhere we can. And also with the letter campaign, you might have people in your network, family, friends that would be willing to do that as well. I think that's it. Somebody did ask how they can get this recording, Stephen. Can we send out a link to everyone who was invited to this? Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Wonderful. After the fact, we'll send a link out to all of our corporate members, many of whom were unable to join us today.
All right. Great. I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Great.
Anything else?
That's it. Just want to also let everybody know that the new summer edition of the Living Architecture Monitor is now online. It's got some great articles about climate change, including green roofs on schools. So check it out at livingarchitecturemonitor.com. And thank you all for coming. And let's keep working together as a team to build this industry. And we're really fortunate to have Dayna and Mona on here to help us out, because we really want to get this one over the finish line.
Yes. I'm answering a question that came up in Q&A about getting marketing material from Stephanie. The greenroofs.org/advocacy page has most of the stuff that you will need, but also the social media stuff from GRHC can be reshared in the marketing type way as well.
Yeah, we're putting out lots of materials. There's a whole campaign right now. Contact Emma Tamlin, E-Tamlin, E-T-A-M-L-I-N at greenroofs.org, and she'll send you a whole media kit if you wanted help with the social media campaign. E-Tamlin at greenroofs.org.
Chat. All right, I think that's it.
All right. Happy summer, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
everybody.
Looking forward to working with you.